Welcome back to Entropia. This is Sturge with episode 6 in the Beginner's Crafting Guide series. And I know it's been a little while, about 3 weeks since I've made a video regarding the crafting guide, this particular series, and there's a very good reason for that. What I'm trying to do is put together the most timely information for you to help you succeed in your endeavors in crafting in the Entropia universe. And by that, I mean I want the information that I give you in these videos to be applicable to the situation that you're in, not right now, 6 months from now, a year from now. I want it to have some sort of longevity, and so that it can't be based on the current market. It has to be based on how you are interacting with the current market. And so if it's a year from now or 2 or 3 years from now that you're watching this video from the time of posting, you're able to say, oh, Sturge, that still works. That actually, the information you're giving me is applicable to the market I'm in currently. And that takes time, I think. It took me a couple of years to really get good at, better returns on my crafting endeavors. Not to the point where I'm profitable, because honestly, I'm really only mediocre at crafting at best. But I'm savvy enough at the auction house and trading with other avatars and so forth that I'm capable now of not losing as much PED. And that, I hope, is sort of the cautionary tale of this video, is that I'm not talking about profit, I'm talking about losing the least amount of PED, and then that keeps you in the game a little bit longer without having to deposit as much. In this video, I'm specifically going to focus on the auction house and how to become the most savvy you can be at using the auction house. I think it's important for you to create relationships with other avatars for trading purposes and for selling purposes, if they're buyers, resellers, whatever they are. And I think that you need to do that on your own, and that comes down to like interpersonal relationships type stuff. So I'm not going to give you advice on that. I'm just going to give you advice and show you how I use the Entropia Universe auction house to do the best that I possibly can do to keep the most amount of PED from my crafting. And one of the things I think the easiest way to do this is just simply to come to any auctioneer on any planet. I'm currently on Next Island, but it doesn't make any difference. And to go into bids. You see the column that says bids, and to click on it such that the number of bids on any particular auction house are in descending order. The most number of bids is at the top, going down to the least number of bids, actual bids. And in doing this, you can begin to see on each and every planet. And you can do this from any planet, by the way. You don't have to just you don't have to be just on Next Island to see Next Island. You can see Calypso from here, and that's important as well. But what I'm trying to show you is that you can use this tool, the bids tool, to see what's selling. And if you know what's selling, that's a crafted item, then you can say, well, I might be wanting to craft that particular item because there's a demand for it, because there are more than 2 bids for something. And also then use the other tool on each and every planet, even though you can see this from any planet auctioneer, is the number of orders that a planet has, and to see if people are trying to buy on that planet or any other planet what crafted, manufactured, tailored materials people really want to purchase. And see, you can just go down the tree on the far right here, and we'll click on, let's say, any one of these. Could be Arcadia. Yeah, here we go. Let's look at this, the Arcadia Auction. And there's adjusted nanites at the top, right? And then a sleep near, and it's improved nanites. But nothing necessarily crafted. A lot of it's looted, tier 1 components, paint. The next particular page is not a lot of crafted items. And so then that helps you say, well, now where do I go to find items that are crafted specifically for that planet or other planets? And since we're looking at Planet Toulon here, we can say, okay, I see that Sham Sand has a bid here on Toulon, and maybe a lot of Sham Sand is selling on Toulon because somebody's manufacturing something here, crafting something here, that they need a lot of that. And you can often see that under orders, Or if there are no orders for it, those orders may have been filled, you may be seeing it in the tree of things that are being bid on. And what's interesting about this is I'm going to show you that I always put in for buyout bids as the same as the initial bid, but a lot of people don't do that because it's hard to see what the market is if you do that, because if it sells instantly, then you can't see what the market is necessarily. You have to go through the markup and look at the daily sales and the weekly and the monthly sales and then back calculate. If there is, in fact, a series of orders for something, then you can have an idea of what the market is for something. But if it's a resource, then you have to spend time on the wiki trying to figure out what that resource is used for, and then what is crafted from it, and then what is the demand. And what I want you to see, though, is you can do this anywhere. It doesn't matter. Just go to an auctioneer and use these drop-down menus to your advantage to help you decide where you're going to go to craft, to go to get resources for crafting, or manufacturing, or tailoring. It doesn't matter. I'm on Next Island, but next I'm going to Cyrene, and I can do it from there. Well, I'm not actually on Cyrene. I'm on Calypso, because I had to cut out the Cyrene part. It just made the video too long. But I'm here, following my own advice. I'm crafting basic filters, which I know I can sell, and I'm standing in an area where people are globaling because I'm hoping that some of that will rub off on me and my particular effort. And in the end, it certainly does, to the tune of something like 10% or so, which is really quite nice. But what I want to get after here was there were some pushback of the first video about the grinding of basic filters. And what I really want to point out there is it's really inexpensive to grind basic filters to get skill levels. And if you're doing the DSEC Still Waiting on Supplies mission from Monria, you're really pushing your skills forward, where if you're not doing that mission, you may not be getting the skill gains. If you're having to use skill pills, there's a cost associated with that. And this is very low cost crafting for very low level people who actually can buy this blueprint on Planet Calypso. But I'm going to talk about grinding and getting skill levels up in the next video. Not this one. I just want to point out I'm going to craft a bunch of these basic filters, and then I'm going to sell them on the auction house. I'm going to show you the tool that I created to make it easier for myself when setting up auction house sales, not orders, but sales. And then I'm going to show you the sale of these filters, and then maybe I'll be able to show you one more item before I wrap this up. For those of you who followed my Profitable Mining series, the 24 episodes of that, you will probably remember that episode 6, I actually detail how to make a markup calculator for the Entropia Universe auction house. I'm not going to go into the detail about how to do that. There will be a link. The video will be linked at the end of this video. I just want to show how basic filters, how I can set this up for basic filters. So the TT value of one basic filter is 1 pec. I want to hit 1.075 or 107.5% markup. Based on the number of items that I have, that equates to a roughly 1,210 of these basic filters that I'm going to try to sell at 107.5% markup. And that fits right into the value right now, the current markup value. It's like 108%, 106 to 100 to 8%. And I'm just showing you I made this calculator and I'm going to use it. And if you want to know the specifics of this particular calculator, how to build this in Excel, you just need to watch episode 6 of the Profitable Mining series. But I think it's important that you have a tool like this to be able to make the best and most accurate auction sale you can possibly make. And when you have a 1-pack item, you're going to have thousands or tens of thousands of that item to really hit those percentages almost as exact. And then we'll look at the orders for this particular item for basic filters, and then we'll see if we could sell it in a day. Right quick, go to the auctioneer. We're going to type in basic filters and see what we can come up with. We're going to get a lot of pages for those. I'm going to look at orders real quick to see if I can fill an order. It looks like there's 114 still in request at 108.3. That would have been really good if I'd seen that before I did this crafting, because I really could have done well. I could have eked out another what, 0.8 percentage points, which, can turn into, quite a bit of PED for you if you do it properly and in the long run. But we can't fill this order, so we're going to stick with my 107.53. And what I need to do then is I need to look at the buyouts. And I need to put the buyouts in ascending order, not descending order. So what I need to see is who's got basic filters, the lowest markup in buyout. And once I click on that, it looks like 109.09, and then going up from there. Really, actually, rather quickly going up from there. So I want to hit it at 107.53. We know that's 1210. And that fits perfectly inside the parameters of the 106 to 108% markup that basic filters have at the time of the making of this particular video. And all I'm going to do sometimes is go through and just see, I'm going to see the size of the orders that people are putting in, so I can compare those to what I'm going to try to sell. In this instance, 1210, it fits really nicely in this system. So I have what, 12.8 here, 1280. I need to cut that down to 1210 and then try to sell it. Okay, here we are next day, back at the auction house. I got the cool little symbol up on the left that I sold my basic filters, and I got 13 PED out of something that was worth 12.09 PED with a 52 PEC auction fee. That puts my profit from the auction at 39 PEC, which only brings up my total return, TT, or overall return, from 85% to 86% on the run that I did to make these basic filters. So there's no way I was going to make a profit, but I made a little bit more and enough to raise it by 1%. And that is the take-home message. Not going to do well crafting. Actually, basic filters is a pretty good return, but you're not going to make a profit crafting in the early stages. Now, I'm here back at the construction terminal. I'm going to find something that has better markup, and I want to be able to use the same, like here's the basic auxiliary socket. I want to use Listerium ingots and oil, and I can do it with this, but I have to have that blueprint. That blueprint hopefully will drop from running your basic filters, but also what's important is being able to go through here and say, oh, I have this, I can do basic nuts, I can do basic pump, I can do basic sensor, basic power system, standard rod, whatever. Those blueprints will come in time, but I'm looking for markup better than 107.5%. Even though I was able to do well on that run, 14% loss is actually a really good run when you're crafting. I want to pick the next best thing. And so maybe it's not auxiliary sockets, because those are running right around the same. Basic nuts might be the next thing to do. Okay, and here we see the basic sensor, 120+% markup. And it's all Ellie-Sunny's gel and Belker. So in my mining experience, I know where to get those things. And so I'm going to go get some Ellie-Sunny's, I'm going to get myself some Belker, and I'm going to craft the basic sensor and sell that and try to use the same tactics. Use my markup calculator to get as close as I possibly can to that 122%, and then use the auction house and all of the information there, the orders that are available, and looking at all of the sales that other avatars have put in, and then trying to nail it down so I can sell quickly without undercutting the entire market. I want to keep the markup where it is the entire time. At the same time, I really desperately want to turn more of a profit, so I lose less each and every time I make one of these runs. So again, using the same tools here, we've got the bids, but I'm not so worried about the bids on these now. It looks like there are a couple. There's some basic sensors in for 122.37. I could sell that right now and turn a profit. That's good. That's coming in at the week and the month markup, so that might be a viable thing to do. If that will hold, there was some 80,000 there. But let's take a quick look here and go for markup. And 124% buyout is the lowest, and there's a couple of bids on that, which is promising. That means basic sensors actually have some sort of demand, and we can see 671.5 PED sold in the day. So 6.7, another order of magnitude, sold in the week. And that's really good information. So basic sensors are a thing to make at 122% markup, and somebody's willing to buy it at that. That's what I want you to see, is that we can dial that in. We can actually get that kind of markup if we're savvy enough. And it doesn't have to be an order. It could literally be something that we post and say, here's what we have for sale, and we are coming in at 122%, when the lowest auction house bid or the lowest auction house sale is 124%. All right, I went out and mined up the materials I needed. I've got enough to do 302 clicks of the basic sensor. So I'm going to run that. I'm going to show you the results. I also did basic wires. Those didn't sell. I'm not going to bother to show you the results there. There are plenty of negative results. I'll show you the positive results here for the basic sensor after 302 clicks. Okay, instead of just trying to sell these as a regular sale, I see that there's a basic sensor order at 123% markup for 2025. I made 1,035 basic sensors, so I'm going to try to dial that in and sell them at or as close to 123% markup as I can get. And it took me a day or two to get those resources, and you can see now the daily markup is down to 119%, and the weekly is 121%. So that 123 order is in there still is really good news for me, and that I can fill that order and make a little bit extra profit off of this, or at least cut my losses by a couple of percentage points. And 123% markup, yes, I'm going to be cutting my losses by quite a bit for this particular run. All right, so using my handy-dandy auction house calculator, I determined that I can sell 101,017 basic sensors to fill this order at 123% markup. I can sell those 1,017 basic sensors at 30 PED, which is 122.91% markup. That's really close to 123. We're not losing much there. And it's 2440 PED is what that's worth with a 77 PEC auction. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to refresh it a couple of times just to make sure that this order doesn't change right before my very eyes, because if that order changes and somebody sells more than 1,000, I'm not going to be able to fill it with 1,017 that I have. So keep that in mind as well. Sometimes you're going to have to really stay right on top of these, because a really good markup order that's better than the day and the week is oftentimes going to attract more people, especially after this video. People are going to say, oh, well, look, Sturge did it. I can do it too. So you're going to have to be savvy and refresh quite a bit. So this looks like it's going to go through just fine. Make sure the buyout bid is equal to the opening bid. Click OK. And there's that sound. It tells you it was sold instantaneously. All right, that is very, very nice. We like it. So for this order, we made an extra 4.83 PED for the instant sale. And that's after deduction of the auction fee. So that puts us at 29.23 PED return with that instant sale, which is a 56.5% return based on the actual TT value that it cost us to run those 323 clicks for the basic sensor. Given that our initial return was only 48% for those 323 clicks for basic sensor, that gave us an extra 8.5% return over what we would have just gotten from the TT. And there's a little bit of the basic sensors left over, 40-some PEC worth. So that gives you an idea. I'm not making a profit here. I'm simply making a little bit more than I would because I lost anyway. 48% return is terrible, but 56.5% is not great either, but it's a heck of a lot better. 8.5% better. What I'm trying to show you is you can make a bad run a little better. And I think maybe way down the road, once you've gained a tremendous amount of skill, you've found the niche in the market that you can fulfill that someone else maybe can't, because you have a quality 100 blueprint of a rare item and there's demand for it. Well, then that's something you can go after. That's the goal to strive for. The goal to strive for right now is not losing as much PED. And if you can get 8.5% better return on a bad run, making it not as bad a run, you're probably doing pretty well and you're becoming pretty savvy. Now, I'm not going to show you the basic wires. Those never sold, so I really lost the auction fee on those, which is frustrating. But at least now you see what it looks like to use the auction house and an auction house calculator to increase bad returns. I hope that was informative and helpful. I always want to show you the positive side of things, but there are always downsides. In Entropia Universe, not everybody can win all the time, just my dark. And I want you to see that there is a realistic side to crafting, and that's generally not profitability here in Entropia. But hopefully this is informative and helpful overall, and now you have a somewhat better picture on how to be savvy with the auction house. Love to hear your comments down below in the comment section. This is Sturge signing off. Ciao.